Alrighty, we're here with Professor Flynn on campus, and we're going to ask you a few questions today about marriage. So to kick it off,
Yes, I am.
for sure.
35 years. We're still trying to figure it out.
Yes. So with that being said, what age do you feel like is the right age to get married for anybody?
Oh.
Just relatively speaking.
Well, I can tell you statistically, we know that women are getting married right around 23 to 25, and men are getting married somewhere between 27 and 28, 29. I think that age is about right.
You think it's about right?
Yeah, it's when you get in college and get married, that has its own kind of stressors and maturity. There's some maturity things, and then when you get into your 20s, you're typically starting to work and you're ready to focus your head at the next season of your life. So I think that age is about right.
With that being said, what do you feel about like college age kids getting married, or
Yeah.
junior or senior year? What do you feel about that?
I actually married. I married a couple last August, who were juniors at Western Michigan, and I had known them through my ministry in Whitmore Lake, and they asked me to marry them. We talked quite a bit, so pre-marriage counseling is really essential, and you can look at their situation and see if they're able to even manage getting married. So a lot of it does depend on the people, but when you get married young, there are unusual circumstances that can make a marriage quite stressed.
For sure. Okay. With that being said, what else? Like, what do you think is the one major factor going in?
One major factor?
The major factor on making marriage
major factor.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. The one factor.
The most important thing. The most important thing.
I would say
successful.
you're going to expect this from me, and I'll explain why. But I do think that Christian marriages give an opportunity. A faith-based marriage creates an attitude of sacrifice and an attitude of humility in the marriage. That's what it's supposed to do. But we know already statistically that the divorce rate for Christian couples isn't that far away from the secular community. But what I will say is that faith-based marriages do have a higher opportunity, I think a bigger success rate. They do have an opportunity because they create a sacrificial attitude. Another thing that I've noticed, that's the foundation. Then if I were to add in other factors, money is always the big stress that couples will use as the reason for getting divorced. Money is a big one, and the fact of money is people will walk into marriage saying, it's my money, it's her money, and really it's our money. And that becomes, I've watched that become very, very painful, because you have one household income, but they separate it out, 2 different checking accounts.
Right.
All of that doesn't speak to what I said before. A faith-based marriage is based on sacrifice, humility, caring for the other person, willing to die for yourself. And they just, the money becomes an example of how they're not doing it.
Right. Alrighty, with that being said, you beat me to my last question about how much of what you said has to do with your religious beliefs. I think you've answered.
Well, I will add to that, because I just gave you the theory on marriages, but then I would ask this, and I know this is taped. So with your girlfriend, how do you develop a faith-based relationship? With my wife, we've been married 35 years. How do we continue to sustain our marriage faithfulness? And I'm going to tell you, none of it is easy. And so for you trying to figure out how to do it where you are right now, and where I am some seasons, years along the line, none of it is easy. And so we wrestle with that, and that becomes an ongoing conversation for my wife and me. Not only do we worship together, we're in a small group with other Christian couples, but do we pray together? And those kinds of things. And we're not particularly good at that. So I think it is fundamental to the health of a home, but very difficult to sustain.
Right. Alrighty, you guys heard it here first. Concordia. Thank you, Professor
Oh yeah,
Flynn.
yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Emily, and we're going to talk to you guys today about views on marriage. So, Emily, I know that you have a boyfriend, and do you see yourself in the future, near or far, or whenever, do you see yourself getting married?
To him?
To him or anyone? Like marriage in general, do you see yourself
Marriage
getting
in
married?
general, I see myself getting married. 100%.
Okay. With that being said, when do you think you'll be ready specifically for marriage? What age? And just like everybody in particular, like anybody in general, what age do you think is the right age to make it work?
Yeah, I love the number 29. I feel like that'd be a great age to get married. Just because to me that feels like you are graduated, you're in a career, you are making some money, you've paid off some debt already. That's ideally in my head. So that's my favorite number, but also just seeing friends getting married and having a boyfriend, I could see it moving up.
Okay, do you think that age, your magic age of 29, is different for male or female, or for gender specifically? Or what do you feel like in marriage the guy or the girl should be older, or anything specific like that?
Speaking about age differences, I think that just depends on context and people. Because you see people who are 10 years apart, 15, like large gaps, or you see people who are high school sweethearts. So I think it just really depends on the person and what they're doing in life. I do think that also there's variances in between men and women. Like, for instance, a woman could really want to get married and just really want to be a mom. Or you have some girls who are kind of like rebelling against that, and they want to have a really good career and they want to be that boss lady. So I think it really just depends on the personality.
Okay. What do you think is the most important thing in making a marriage work? The most important aspect?
What I really believe and what I know is so hard to do is always trying to realign yourself with God and what He's like, His character and how He acts, because as a Christian I want to be more and more Christ-like, and I know I'm not, and I sin so hard. And for my boyfriend right now, I've learned that I'm an arguer, I do not forgive fast, I'm defensive, all of these sins and things that weigh down a relationship. And so for me, the biggest part of a relationship now, and then I am betting into a marriage, is that I just continually have to be humbling myself, and I need to be intentional to seek out how to be better, how to be a better lover, a better forgiver, because I don't think if a relationship is continually having sadness and just things that bog you down, I don't think that will last. So I think you do need that constant reboot and fixing your eyes on Him.
Okay. So how much of what you've said so far in this interview has been based off of your religious and Christian beliefs?
All of it. I was raised in a church, and all the relationships around me have been people who believe in God, but also that's not to say that there hasn't been brokenness, because my mom was a single mom. My sister got married really young, right out of college, actually a week after she graduated, and then she got divorced because her husband was unfaithful. So we are Christian, but there's totally brokenness in it, and that just goes back to my theme of what makes a marriage. I think you really just have to, it has to be Christian based. We are so messy, and we need a perfect God. We need somebody outside of us to guide us and show us a better way.
Okay. Alrighty, thanks a lot, Emily.
You bet.
Hello, Concordia viewers. I'm Tyler Failer, and I'm here with Spencer, and we're going to talk a little bit about marriage today. So, Spencer, do you see yourself getting married one day?
I would like to say that I see myself settling down into a marriage one day, yes, but I can't predict the future, so yeah.
With that being said, what age would you think is the age you see yourself getting married, or just the right age for people to get married for it to be successful?
I think this honestly depends on what you have going on in your life at the time. So if you're a young 20-year-old who maybe has their life, pretty much not necessarily figured out, but it's pretty structured at that time, I'd say that, someone in their mid-20s could, somewhere in the mid-20s would be a good time to get married, but definitely not something you would want to rush. So I'd say anywhere between 25 and 35, honestly.
Do you think that the age has anything to do with being male or female, or just society's roles for each gender specifically?
Speaking from the male perspective, I do think that there is some pressure that weighs on your shoulder. You want to be able to provide for your loved ones, and if financially speaking, emotionally speaking, you can't provide that type of security to somebody you're with, I think marriage and love in general can become pretty stressful.
For sure. Also, what do you think is the most pivotal and the biggest factor in a successful marriage in making it work?
I think I'd have to say patience, because no marriage is perfect, no person's perfect, so there's a lot of learning involved from both parties, I think, especially for somebody who maybe, you've never been in a really serious relationship and you think this is the person that you want to marry. How else would you know? What else would you know? You wouldn't have any other thing to base that decision off of. So I think, patience, it's going to be a big learning experience, and with anybody you're dating or in a relationship with, you're going to have obstacles you need to overcome. So.
For sure. Okay, now we're coming to the end of the interview here. How much of what you've said in your ideas on marriage has been based off of your religious views?
I'd say that the biggest influence for me wouldn't necessarily be based on religion, but I think that it has like a unifying theme with something like religion. So maybe I meet somebody who shares interests with me. Maybe it's soccer, maybe it's music, maybe it's the outdoors. I really create a bond with this person. I think that's like a love and a passion that we can share the same way that with Christianity or any type of religion, that can be it can unify two people. It can bring two people together on like a shared common idea. Maybe one's Democrat, one's Republican, but they're both Christian, so they're agreeing upon like the faith standpoint of how that they want to live their lives. So I don't think religion really influences me in much I do in my life, but I think that shared themes with religion or aspects that religion provides to people influences me the same way, but from a different perspective.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Spencer.
Thank you.
Alrighty, you guys heard it here first.